I had always believed that a marriage was built on love, trust, and commitment, values that I cherished for years as I gave myself entirely to my wife, Jessica. We met in our mid-20s, back when life felt simpler, when love seemed unbreakable, and when we imagined growing old side by side. We were young, passionate, and completely in love with each other. Our wedding day was everything we hoped for, intimate, emotional, and filled with vows we promised never to break. For years, I thought we were the perfect pair, but in hindsight, I was blind to the gradual shifts, the small cracks that eventually turned into deep fractures. Life moved on. Work stress, financial struggles, and the comfortable routine of marriage slowly took over. We both put on a few extra pounds from late-night meals and Netflix binges, not realizing we were losing more than just our youthful figures. We were losing the connection we once shared. I didn't mind it at first. I still saw Jessica as the woman I had fallen in love with, still beautiful, still mine. But for her, things began to change. She started talking about wanting to feel attractive again, about missing the body she had in her early 20s. I encouraged her to embrace who she was, but soon her casual comments turned into something more serious. She joined a gym, adopted a strict diet, and her evenings became filled with fitness classes instead of our usual movie nights. At first, I admired her dedication. She looked incredible, stronger, more confident, glowing with new energy. But then the emotional distance began to grow. She stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped holding my hand while watching TV. She was always on her phone, texting, smiling at messages she didn't share with me. When I asked about it, she dismissed it, saying it was just friends from the gym. I wanted to trust her, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. One night, while she was in the shower, I casually glanced at her phone. I had never been the jealous type and never felt the need to check her messages, but something told me to look. What I saw shocked me. She had been messaging a guy from the gym, Nick. The messages weren't explicit, but they didn't need to be. Flirty emojis, late-night check-ins, inside jokes that excluded me. It was cheating, at the very least, and I could feel where it was headed. That night, I confronted her. She didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she looked at me with an odd pity in her eyes and said, "I just feel like I've outgrown us. Outgrown us." It felt like marriage had been just a phase, like I had been nothing more than a stepping stone in her life. Her words hit harder than I expected, but I held back my anger, my devastation. She explained how she felt trapped, how she wanted someone who matched her energy, someone fitter, younger, someone who made her feel desired in ways I no longer could. The divorce came quickly. She wanted out, and I refused to beg her to stay. She packed her things and moved into a new apartment while I was left behind in the house we once shared, staring at the empty side of the closet that used to be hers. The worst part, it wasn't just that she left me. It was how quickly she moved on. Within months, she was officially with Nick, flaunting their relationship all over social media. Gym selfies, vacation photos, romantic dinners, the perfect couple's highlight reel. Our mutual friends tried to be kind, but I could see the pity in their eyes. I was the man who was left behind, the ex-husband who had let himself go, while she found someone better. It was humiliating, but I swallowed my pride. I refused to let my story end as the man who was dumped and never moved on. So, I did what I should have done a long time ago. I focused on myself. I started working out, not out of revenge, not to win her back, but because I needed to find the man I had once been. I pushed myself, challenged myself, and little by little I transformed. I got in the best shape of my life. I threw myself into building a new social circle and focused on advancing my career. The pain from Jessica leaving still lingered, but I refused to let it define who I was. Then, out of nowhere, one day she called. At first, I thought it might be a mistake. Maybe she had dialed me by accident. But when I answered, her voice sounded hesitant, almost uncertain. "Hey, how have you been?" I could have laughed. How had I been? Where was this concern when she walked away from my life? But I kept my cool. I'm good, Busy. What's up? There was a long pause, followed by a sigh from her. I miss talking to you. And there it was, the first crack in the perfect life she had thought she'd created. I didn't ask anything, didn't dig deeper, but I knew, deep down I knew. The honeymoon phase with Nick had faded. Maybe he wasn't as perfect as she thought. Maybe the grass wasn't as green on the other side. Or perhaps, just perhaps, she saw me moving on and hated the fact that she no longer had a place in my world. Over the next few weeks, her messages came more frequently. They started harmless, memes, random memories, nostalgic little tidbits, just enough to keep me engaged. Then she began opening up more. I think I made a mistake. I miss us. I miss you. Finally, she sent the words that should have made me feel victorious. But instead, they only made me shake my head. Can we meet? I just want to talk. I agreed. Not because I was hoping for reconciliation, but because I wanted to see her face when she realized what she had lost. We met at a coffee shop, and for the first time in a long time, I held the power. She looked good, but not as confident as before. She played with her cup, avoiding my gaze, her fingers nervously tapping against the table. I'm sorry, she said, her voice quiet. I nodded, letting her speak. I thought leaving was the right choice. I thought I needed something new, someone new. She trailed off, shaking her head. It wasn't what I expected. There it was. The realization that she had traded stability for temporary thrills, that she had given up loyalty for excitement that had quickly faded. And now, here she was looking at me, the man she discarded, hoping for a second chance. I miss you, Matt, she whispered. I miss us. Do you think we could ever try again? I leaned back, studying her. I saw the desperation in her eyes, the regret in her voice. She truly thought she could come back, as if I had just been waiting around for her to change her mind. But I wasn't the same man anymore. I had grown, I had moved on, and I wasn't about to become someone's backup option. I smiled and said, Jessica, I appreciate the apology, but no, we can't try again. Her face fell. Why not? I leaned forward, locking eyes with her. Because I don't settle for people who only want me when it's convenient. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just sat there, the realization washing over her. She had lost me, the one person who would have given her everything. That was now her burden to bear. I paid for my coffee, stood up, and left without looking back. As I walked away, I felt nothing but relief. Sometimes, the best form of revenge isn't anger. It's showing them that you never needed them in the first place. And for the first time in years, I felt completely free.